What's up, everyone? This is Scott Welsh back once again with our weekly YouTube video on how to beat the market. Now, this is a topic that deals with aggressive trading. This is not for risk-averse people. It may not even be for anyone on earth ever, but it's an important topic, and it's something I think about a lot, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's get right to it. Three things today. There's four on the screen. If you're a Facebook user, and I've had my moments of, dislike of Facebook, haven't we all? But I do have a Facebook business account, and you can find that at Scott Welsh Strategies. I do not have a Facebook personal account, but I do have a Facebook business account with Scott Welsh Strategies. So if you're a Facebook person, you can find me there, and it's got posts and videos and all sorts of good stuff. Okay, three things today. Why is the worst to come? Like, why do people tell us the worst thing that's ever going to happen to us? It's in the future. It's around the corner. Why is that? We're going to talk about when the max drawdown happens. Right? We're talking about the worst case scenario today, the maximum drawdown. Well, when does that happen, really? We're going to trade a trading system. When does that occur? And number four on your screen. Is this fear of the max drawdown number costing us? I mean, this is the crux of this video. Is the fear of drawdown costing us money? All right, disclaimer. Again, then we'll get into it. A lot of hypothetical numbers today. Again, this is very risky stuff we're talking about. Please do not try this at home. Or if you do try it at home, try it safely and smartly with money you can afford to lose. Okay? Hypothetical numbers. Please don't do something stupid. Please do not do something risky, because this is going to seem risky on the surface. Okay. The worst is yet to come, right? I've just heard recently, I listen to a lot of trading podcasts, do a lot of reading, and people say, well, when you're backtesting a system, beware of the drawdown number, because it's always going to be worse coming forward. So take that number and double it. Really? I mean, that's not the only time I've heard that. I've heard that so many times. When you run a back test, the worst drawdown is coming. The worst is coming. Everything's terrible in the future. The future is terrible. Really now? Really? Is that how life works? Is that how we should live our lives? That the worst is coming? Seems like an absolutely awful strategy to live a life by. And it seems like it's potentially an awful strategy to live our trading lives by. Now, I get it. I see the point. If we're talking about the short term, okay, an 8-year-old or a teenager, when they say, oh, this is the worst day because Johnny didn't call me back, right? Calm down, okay? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You have experienced nothing, right? Your worst day is, losing $5 or $3 in your pocket, right? Try that as an adult, right? Young kid, I get it. If you haven't been around, you think something's bad and it's not, okay? I get it. But if we're talking something sensible, a long period of time, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is not going to happen tomorrow. I know we've all had dark times in our life. We had times when we hit rock bottom, or times we come to an epiphany. I had a dark time, and it's been one dark time. One. Never looked back. Never been that sad again. I will never be that sad again. It was a moment where I learned about what it is that matters. Isn't that deep? We got to know each other better. But the point is, I'm not a person that's only been around a few minutes, been around a little bit, and the dark times ain't coming back, right? So why is that in trading that the dark times are coming back, okay? Let me just throw out some examples, okay, of max drawdown, similes, metaphors, whatever you want to call it. Similes have like metaphors. When has it been worse than the time of the Black Plague? Right? According to the history books, the Black Plague killed, 3/4 of the population? What lately, meaning the last 50, 100 years, has killed 3/4 of the humans on Earth? I'll wait for your response. Nothing. When has it been worse when all the human rights tragedies, how we dealt with minorities, how we dealt with women, when has it been worse? Yes, there's still bad things. Of course, there are still bad things. We still have a long way to go. But it's never been worse than what it was back in the Civil War times, perhaps, or many decades ago, right? It's never going to go back to enslaving others, right? Enslaving minorities. And again, I don't want to get off topic. You get my point, right? I get it. And when has it been worse economically than the Great Depression? When? Everything is compared to the Great Depression, 1929-ish. 2008 was scary and horrible, but it wasn't the Great Depression. It was compared. It was the worst since 1929 and counting. It's 2019 now. Max drawdown is the Great Depression. What's been worse? Oh, Great Depression lasted 10 years. 2008 lasted a few months, right? Is the Great Depression really the max drawdown? We're really going to do worse than the Black Depression, the Great Depression. Are we? Really? We're going to have people standing in bread lines. When? I don't care how bad things get. When? Okay. Those things, for example, just examples, are gone and they're not coming back. Over a long enough testing period means you got to do the work. You got to take the data back as far as it goes. You got to study over years, not days. But if you go back far and comprehensively look at everything, is it reasonable to say the max drawdown is not coming back? Aren't the probabilities low, honestly, if you've done your research, if you've gone back far enough? Are the probabilities low that's going to get worse? Max drawdown is not guaranteed to be around the corner. It's not guaranteed at all. So we got to be careful with this. Being pessimistic. You live your life in fear, and maybe it hurts us, okay? So why are we afraid of the max drawdown number? It may never happen again. Why are we so pessimistic? Read the book Factfulness. Smartest people in the world took a poll on the state of the world. 13% or something like that got it right. The world's getting better all the time. What is all this pessimism like everything's getting worse? Look at the facts. It's not getting worse. The world's getting better. It's crazy to think that. I know, right? And if we're a little bit optimistic without being stupid or foolish, maybe we can make more money. I mean, that's why we're here in this video, okay? Now, let's say another max drawdown does come around, okay? Maybe it's not worse, but maybe it's a bad one. What's the likelihood of that happening as soon as you press the button or as soon as you start trading your strategy? What's the likelihood, right? It's likelihood of getting eaten by a brown bear and then getting eaten by a polar bear in the same day. Like what are the odds? Winning the lottery? What is it? Seriously. If you test it over, say, 18 years, what's the likelihood that the next max drawdown or comparable drawdown is going to happen right then? Right then. You might get a drawdown, sure, right? We've all started a strategy and, we lost the first couple. I get it. Honestly, though, what's the likelihood? Now, pessimistic people would say, well, if you tested poorly, it'll happen right away. Okay, fine. Yes, if you do a bad job with your research, it might happen right away because it's faulty testing. But what if you did everything in your power to not be that? Okay, what's the likelihood? Seriously, 5%? 1%? Like, what is it? What's the likelihood if you've done your work, it's going to happen in the first trade? Here's a hint, not likely. Okay. So if it doesn't happen right at first, if it happens after we've been trading it for a while and we've made money, what happens to that max drawdown number? Well, when we started and we saw a number like, that's 50% of my account, I'm risking a 50% drawdown if I trade this now. Well, if you trade it and you've made profit and that same drawdown happens, 50% drawdown can turn into 10%. 10% isn't bad at all. Let's put some math on that. Okay, you find a trading system, right? Find one, and it says the worst drawdown is $5,000. Well, you have a hypothetical 10,000. So, there it is. Well, I have to be willing to stomach a 50% drawdown. That's too much for me. I'm not trading this strategy. Well, first of all, that may never happen again, right? We just talked about that. And even if it does happen, what are the odds it's going to happen first? Because that needs to happen first for it to be a 50% drawdown. Do you see? Unless you take money out of the account after every win, if you leave the profits in, that drawdown number gets less with every passing winning trade. You see what I'm getting to here? If you've had an account rise to 50,000 and then you lose 5, there's your 10% drawdown right here. So you started at 10,000 and you had many drawdowns along the way, but you end up with 50 and then you have a terrible losing streak without changing your trade size, of course, right? See how this little thought experiment is working? If you get a drawdown as bad, which you may not, it has to happen at first for this to be a real 50% drawdown. So if you got scared by this number and stopped trading it, did we really need to be scared of this number? These are all hypothetical questions, but they're important ones, right? Same drawdown, different reality. So here are the consequences. We're afraid. We lower our trade size because we're scared of that 50% drawdown, right? So we get it to that 50% drawdown so it's less than 50. So that account, if we had just not been afraid, made it to 50,000, it only gets to 25. Well, that's a lot less money. And if you start looking at retirement accounts, instead of 25,000, that's 250,000. Or a big retirement account, that's 2.5 million. You're shorting yourself of $2.5 million potentially on big accounts because you're afraid of a number that may never happen again and definitely, probably, most likely, not definitely, most likely won't happen at first. See the consequences of us being afraid? Let's put it to the test, okay? Let's say we have a small account, right? Small is relative. Let's say we have a $5,756 account. Well, that's specific. Yes, it is. And we find a system that we like. We find it online, whatever. And that system at the trade size of, let's say, 0.75 lots, because that's what I used, right? That system over a decade or more of time, the max drawdown is $5,756. So we have an account that's equal to our max drawdown. So what? We're risking it all, right? Right? Isn't that the fear? I mean, that's the way I looked at it in the past, right? I can't do that. I better lower my trade size because I'm risking everything. What if the drawdown happens right off the bat? Well, what if it doesn't happen again? Like I said, and what if it doesn't happen at first, okay? So here are the numbers. Took my weekly pivot robot, which is doing fantastically well, by the way, which of course means it'll start losing now, right? Oh, that's pessimistic. Stop that. I just smacked myself. Here's what happens if we took that max drawdown number and just slapped it right in the face, okay? Here are the results. From 2004 to now, 2019, right? Profits, it's hard to see, I'm sorry, stupid report. $38,993 of profit, and the max drawdown stayed exactly the same. We didn't margin call at all. In fact, when this drawdown came around, it was only a 16% drop, which is manageable by just about everyone, okay? So was it too much drawdown or too much tuna, as I say? If you get that too much tuna reference, we just became best friends, by the way. Anyway, let's summarize that because it's kind of hard to see. Profits of $38,993 from 2004 to now, trading 0.75 lots, okay? We hit the max drawdown number. It wasn't a fake number, but it was after we'd made profit. So that drop after we had made profit was only 16.3%, 16.3% of our account at the time. But if we were scared of that drawdown number because it was the same as our account size and we cut our trade size in half, well, that divided by 2 is only 19,496. But if we cut our trade size in half, we'd say, well, I only have a $5,700 account. My max drawdown is potentially 20 or 50% of that. That's too much. I can't take a 50% drawdown. I'm gonna go even lower. So if we wanted only a 25% max drawdown, then we, over that same time period, to make 9,700. It's because of fear. Fear of what? Fear of the drawdown happening again and happening right away. Lightning striking us in the head, right? then we go from 38 down to 97. We lose all that money when we're really only risking a 16% drawdown at the worst. Okay? Bottom line is this. This is clearly a very aggressive conversation. I get it. Please don't risk your money. Don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable. This is not for everyone, and maybe it's not for anyone. Maybe I'm just full of it. Okay? But fear is a crippling thing. It cripples our lives, and it might be crippling our trading. And I'm talking to me too, because I've been afraid, probably more afraid than you. Well, I don't want to lose my money. Maybe I'm an idiot, right? Maybe I'm an idiot on multiple levels. Perfectly willing to accept that. But we also need to consider that a little optimism and a little common sense, not going to happen right away, and it may not happen again. We could be making a lot more money if we're just not afraid of that number. Okay? Now, it could happen. We could risk 5,700 on a 5,700 max drawdown, and it could be a battle, and we could lose it all. So keep that in mind, right? We're playing the odds here and going for a big win, but the worst could still happen. You can't lie and say it wouldn't. So maybe you do something in between. Maybe you trade it on a $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 account and that sort of thing, right? And there are tricks you can use to mitigate this as you go, of course. But maybe you're being too conservative with your trading system, and maybe this type of little thought experiment might make you some money, and I hope so. All right, lifetime memberships are back. Just got a new lifetime member last week. That's fantastic. Lifetime members are the best people on earth. That was a poll. That was a Twitter poll, and it turned out to be 100% true. So you can see all the membership information at scottwellstrategies.com and get on the newsletter and talk about stuff like this for free. Do that at scottwellstrategies.com also. All right, that's all for this week. Hope it helps and hope you make more money. Bye for now.